A European healthcare company migrated IBM DB2 and MQ to AWS. Standard lift and shift. 18 months later, IBM audited them. The claim? $4.2 million. Their crime? They assumed existing IBM licenses automatically worked in the cloud. They were dead wrong. I'm Shub, the license nerd, and this video could save your company millions before your next cloud migration. Here's what nobody tells you. IBM's bring your own license policy is not automatic. It's a policy-governed permission with 4 strict requirements. Your deployment must be on IBM's eligible public cloud list. The software must be on the BYOSL eligible products list. ILMT must be deployed and configured for cloud. And the deployment must be under your existing Passport Advantage terms. Miss any one of these, and IBM treats your cloud deployment as completely unlicensed software. The most devastating trap is the 20x multiplier. You deploy IBM software on a 4 vCPU cloud instance. Without ILMT, IBM defaults to the full physical capacity of the underlying cloud host. In multi-tenant public cloud, that host has 40 to 80 cores. Your 4-core deployment gets charged for 80 cores, 20 times the cost. For a single instance, let me put numbers on it. IBM DB2 on a 4 vCPU EC2 instance. With ILMT, 280 PVU, about $35,000 per year. Without ILMT, 4,480 PVU, $560,000 per year. Same software, same workload. A $525,000 penalty for a configuration oversight. Which clouds does IBM approve? AWS, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud, and IBM Cloud are on the eligible public cloud list. But being approved doesn't mean all IBM software works on all clouds. Some products have cloud-specific licensing overriding standard BYOL. Some aren't eligible at all. And the list changes periodically. A product eligible when you migrated might not be eligible when IBM audits you 2 years later. Common exclusions. IBM DB2 has specific cloud provisions. IBM MQ in containers has different rules. And IBM Watson products require separate cloud subscriptions. The dedicated host strategy is your single most important architectural decision. Shared tenancy is the default on all clouds. Your VM shares a physical host with other customers. IBM claims the full host capacity, but dedicated hosts give you the entire physical server. You know exactly how many cores. ILMT reports accurately. IBM cannot claim beyond what you've provisioned. Yes, dedicated hosts cost 30 to 40% more. But compare that premium to a 20 times licensing multiplier. The math is obvious. Use dedicated hosts for every IBM workload in cloud. ILMT in the cloud is not the same as on-premises. You cannot simply extend existing ILMT to cover cloud instances. Cloud ILMT requires provider-specific agent configuration, proper VM discovery handling, autoscaling, and dynamic workloads, network connectivity to your ILMT server or a cloud-hosted instance, and cloud-specific capacity reporting mapping instance types to PVU tables. Companies using on-premises ILMT assumptions in cloud produce incomplete reports. IBM treats incomplete reports the same as no reports. Full capacity default. The 90-day cloud trap. You have 90 days from first deployment to have ILMT operational. This applies in cloud too. But cloud migrations happen fast. DevOps can spin up IBM software in minutes. The clock starts when that instance goes live, not when your licensing team discovers it. With self-service provisioning and rapid deployment pipelines, IBM software can run for months before licensing knows it exists. By then, the 90-day window has closed. Full capacity applies retroactively to day 1. Container deployments change everything. For IBM software in Kubernetes, IBM requires IBM license service instead of ILMT. It must be deployed in the same cluster as IBM software. It measures VPC, not PVU. And it must be operational before the Cloud Pak is deployed. Every Cloud Pak deployment without license service is a full capacity liability. Additionally, autoscaling is a licensing time bomb. If your IBM workload scales from 4 cores to 32 cores during a traffic spike, even briefly, IBM's position is you need entitlements for 32 cores for that entire period. Set hard caps on auto-scaling for all IBM workloads. The multi-cloud nightmare. Many enterprises run IBM across AWS, Azure, and GCP simultaneously. IBM requires ILMT coverage for every cloud environment. If ILMT covers AWS but not Azure, the Azure instances default to full capacity. Each cloud needs its own configuration and separate reporting. All must be consolidated for quarterly evidence. One gap in one cloud equals full capacity for that entire cloud estate. The PVU-to-VPC cloud conversion trap. Moving from on-premises PVU to cloud containers using VPC is not one-to-one. IBM's standard is 70 PVU per VPC, but actual ratios are negotiated case by case with no public table. A company with 10,000 PVU might assume 143 VPC. IBM might demand 200 or more. That gap is pure compliance exposure until formally documented. And IBM auditors are specifically trained to find this gap. Companies that containerized assuming PVU licenses transferred are sitting on a time bomb. IBM is actively targeting cloud migrations in audits. Their software revenue enhancement team has identified cloud migration as the highest yield audit scenario. Companies migrate fast without checking licensing. ILMT is rarely configured for cloud on day one. The full capacity default produces enormous claims. In 2024 and 2025, cloud migration findings are the fastest growing category of IBM compliance claims. If you've migrated IBM software to cloud in the last 3 years without a formal BYOSL review, you are IBM's ideal audit target right now. AWS-specific rules. First, use dedicated hosts for IBM workloads. Second, ILMT agents on every EC2 instance including auto-scaling groups. Third, AWS instance types don't all map cleanly to IBM's PVU table. Fourth, AWS outposts have ambiguous IBM licensing status. Fifth, reserved instances don't affect IBM licensing. Azure rules. Dedicated hosts work similarly, but nested virtualization creates additional layers IBM may challenge. Azure Arc does not change on-premises licensing status. GCP rules. Sole tenant nodes are your dedicated host equivalent. Anthos requires license service in every cluster. The hybrid cloud licensing maze. Most enterprises run hybrid, on-premises, cloud IaaS, and containers. IBM requires different compliance tools for each. On-premises, ILMT with quarterly reports. Cloud IaaS, ILMT with cloud-specific configuration. Containers, IBM license service. A single IBM product across all three needs 3 separate compliance mechanisms. Miss one environment and it defaults to full capacity even if the others are perfect. Your 7-step cloud migration licensing checklist. Step 1. Verify every IBM product against the current BYOSL eligible list. Step 2. Choose dedicated hosts for IBM workloads. Step 3. Deploy ILMT with cloud-specific configuration before migration. Step 4. For containers, deploy license service before Cloud Pak. Step 5. Set hard auto-scaling caps on all IBM workloads. Step 6. Document your BYOSL attestation formally. Step 7. Generate your first compliance report within 90 days. Skip any step and you're creating exposure that compounds daily. Real case study, that healthcare group I mentioned. AWS lift and shift of DB2 and MQ. No licensing review. No ILMT in cloud. No BYOSL attestation. 14 months later, IBM audit. 18 months of software on shared tenancy AWS with 0 ILMT data. IBM's claim, $4.2 million at full capacity, backdated to migration start. Resolution took 6 months. Challenged measurement methodology, demonstrated partial pre-migration ILMT coverage, negotiated retrospective BYOSL filing. Settlement, $670,000. An 84% reduction, but still $670,000 that could have been 0 with proper planning before migration. Your 3-layer cloud defense strategy. Layer 1, architecture, dedicated hosts, auto-scaling caps, segregate IBM onto measurable infrastructure. Layer 2, compliance tooling, ILMT with cloud config on every instance, license service in every Kubernetes cluster, quarterly reports without gaps. Layer 3, documentation, formal BYOSL attestation, living register of products, clouds, and metrics, updated quarterly against IBM's eligible list. These 3 layers make you virtually audit-proof in cloud. The bottom line, cloud does not simplify IBM licensing. It makes it more complex and more expensive when you get it wrong. The 20 times multiplier. The 90-day clock starting without your knowledge. Products not eligible for BYOL. Auto-scaling creating instant compliance gaps. IBM's audit teams are trained to find these failures. But now you know. Implement the 7-step checklist. Deploy the 3-layer defense. Share this with every architect and DevOps engineer because they make deployment decisions that create licensing obligations. I'm Shub, the license nerd. 9 videos deep. Subscribe, hit the bell, and protect your cloud before IBM's auditors find what your team doesn't know exists.